Good evening. It is the evening. It is the good evening, Knicks Nation. It is the evening of Monday, May 31st, 2021. I hope you've had a good Memorial Day weekend if you're in the United States of America. Safe. This is one of the highest travel weekends in the United States of America all year long with Thanksgiving. So I hope you're safe. I hope you got home safe. I hope you had a good time and that you're all healthy and your needs are being met. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, that take care of sick people and dying people, even on holidays, without even knowing who they are. Blessings upon them. And those that pick up garbage, I hope you had a good day off today. Blessings also upon those that make deliveries, even on holidays, for us to have food when we want it. And people that are working on the holiday in supermarkets and in different stores and in gas stations for our convenience, for very little pay. Blessings also upon those that are trying to deliver boys and girls, men and women and children and babies from the clutches of sex slave operations and human trafficking. Curses upon those that support these industries. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. 500,000 men, women, and children, even on the holiday, that will not have a roof over their head. Not including millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon those helping and upon those themselves, for theirs is the kingdom. There was a couple of basketball games. I have been away. I am relocating from Washington, D.C. to North Carolina, and I'm in the midst of arranging that. And so this weekend we were down in North Carolina. I was on the road most of the weekend trying to find a house. We saw 9 houses this trip. We had been there maybe 3 weeks ago and saw 9 or 10 houses. It's a crazy market. But anyway, I think we found one. So we put an offer in. We're very confident it will be accepted. So we'll see. But that's where I've been. So I was able to see a replay of the Knicks game Saturday night. And when I was in North Carolina, and I saw a replay, actually. I didn't see the actual game yesterday because we was on the road all day. I saw the replay when we got back Sunday evening. And what I saw was very similar. You can point to a lot of different things, but to me, there's 2 things that stick out in both the Knicks losses. And I don't know if we're going to get it straightened out. Now, let me just say this. Say a couple things. First of all, I'm a Knicks fan. Okay? As realistic as it looks that the Knicks are not going to win this series, I'm going to be pulling for them every game until the last buzzer. Okay? Because we Knicks fans, right? This is Knicks Nation. So we sticking with ours all the way. Number 2, we weren't supposed to be here. The Knicks were projected to win 22 games this year, and they ended up 4th in the East. No matter what happens in this series, the season is a fantastic success. The rebuild has been pushed up. Okay, so don't trip with the media and with Stephen A. Smith and all these idiots that are being paid to trip. We don't need to in Knicks Nation. Now, that being said, I know there's 2 big things. There's a lot of little things, like Reggie Bullock going on a nut was another thing. But the Knicks still had 5 players in double figures yesterday, and earlier the game they lost Friday, they had 4 players in double figures. Now, this is the problem. This is the problem we're having here. Julius Randle. Obviously, hands down, most improved player in the NBA. This is the first year he's reached this level of proficiency as a basketball player. And because of his obvious natural talent, it blossomed, right? He was even in conversations with MVP votes. We're talking about him like that because of the improvement he made. But we have to remember, this is his first playoff. Not only is it his first playoff, it's the first playoff as the man. Because he's the man on the Knicks. Okay? Which is positive and negative. Because what has happened, what I saw, is Julius Randle was playing like Julius Randle from last year and previous years. Dribbling too much, waiting too long to pass the basketball, having to be reminded to play defense and to, do other things aside from try to score. Holding the ball too long. Okay? That's a problem. That's a problem. And it's been a problem in the last two games that I saw. He dancing around too much. Whereas if he got rid of the rock quickly, and I believe Tibbs is telling him this. In fact, I looked at the press conference. I think it was from yesterday's loss, and I believe he alluded to that. He doesn't really rebuke his players in public, which is a good thing, but he alluded to it when he said you can't dance around, you got to move the ball. He's talking about Julius Randle. You got to let the ball go and trust that when you get to a nice spot, you'll get it back. And he will. He's the man. The Knicks will make sure he get it back. Okay? So he didn't trust that. And the numbers don't, like his numbers Friday night reflected, but the numbers from yesterday don't really reflect that because his stat line looked good. He had 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 23 points, but he was 7 of 19. Okay, problem number one. Problem number two, I have to place on our coach. We have been getting killed. The Hawks have been killing us on 3-point shots. And it's not just Trae Young. It's not just Trae Young. It was not just Trae Young yesterday. You're talking about Trae Young from 3-point land yesterday was 4 of 14. But then you had John Collins 2 or 3. Bogdanovich 4 of 9. You know, you had Hill, Solomon Hill, and you had Herder 3 of 5. You got to guard the 3-point line. This is where Frank Ntilikina comes in. And I blame our coach. I don't know why even the Frank haters understand that Frank can play defense. Even the Frank haters understand that when he plays against Trae Young, he does one of the better jobs in the NBA against Trae Young. Playing Frank on Trae Young full time would free up Reggie Bullock to guard either Herder or Bogdanovich, which is a better matchup. Bullock, obviously, he's trying his best, but he can't guard Trae Young. A little bit he can, but he can't really. Frank can lock the boy up. These two things are what is getting us in problems. And it's little things like that because the playoffs, that's what it's about. See, it was the Friday game when I looked at that. You know, the Knicks played a good game Friday for 3 quarters. They really did. Like, they played, the first quarter was a 2-point. They were in the lead. The second quarter, they played even the fourth quarter. They won that quarter by 3 points. They got blown out in the second quarter. But in the playoffs, that's all it takes. One bad quarter. One part of a bad quarter. And you could be done. This is the playoffs. Which brings me to point 3. So Julius, that problem, I don't know if we could solve that this year. I don't know if we could do that. Maybe he settles down and then the Garden passes the rock because Atlanta got him. They know where he's going to pass the ball. They know where his favorite spots are. They're ready for him. He's got to get rid of the rock and he's got to move it out the ball and get to another spot quickly where he can get the ball back and they'll get it to him if he trusts them. Now, I'm an amateur. And if I see it, I know the New York Knicks coaches see it. Maybe your Knick Nation saw it. So I'm hoping that he corrects it, but the likelihood is, I don't know. Problem 1. So it's not looking good for this series. But this is something to build on for Julius, which brings me to another point. We have Julius Randle, who's not a superstar yet. He's a star. He blossomed into a star. But you need really 2 of those guys to move deep into the playoffs. You need 2 of them. The Knicks only have him. Now, R.J. Barrett is about 2 seasons from becoming a star. He really is. I mean, look at this. He's 20 years old. Look at Trae Young. Trae Young's 22. Wait till R.J. is 22. He's going to be a problem. Okay? But right now he's 20, so you can't expect him to be there. And so you had him, I believe, it's just me. Now, again, maybe y'all disagree with me, but I'm going to tell you what I see. Obi Toppin got the makings of a star. He really does. He's got all of the hallmarks of somebody that could just blow up. He got 19 minutes yesterday and scored 13 points on 5 of 8 shooting. And he hasn't been getting good minutes the whole season. And his attitude's been terrific. So I don't know what they're going to do, but you got one. You got one in RJ and you got one in Obi. So I don't know what we're going to do. But Julius needs a second star. I don't know who's going to be. I mean, somebody that's ready now. Like I said, RJ got 2 seasons. That's fine. But if we're going to move deep in the playoffs next year, he's going to need some help. And he's going to need to learn how to share the basketball with that help, which I think he will. But we need another dude that's a stud that can score. Now look at Atlanta. Now Atlanta, they got Trae Young, and the other guy is Bogdanovich. Bogdanovich, he was locked up yesterday, 4 of 11, but he was 4 of 9 from 3. He had 8 boards and 6 assists. That's the other guy. He will kill you if you don't guard him. I mean, you've seen that. Okay. We knew that. I got to give us props as Knick Nation, right? Because we saw Bogdanovich and Malik as the guys we wanted to get. We didn't get them because I understood why they didn't. We didn't want to play long-term money but Bogdanovich he was ready to bring it to that next level. And I think Malik is going to be too because he's on the worst team. But Trae Young and Bogdanovich are their scorers. And then let's not sleep on John Collins. So they got dudes that are ancillary to Curry that can go off. Okay. And then you got your Kevin Huerter, who is basically like our Reggie Bullock, right? You got your Kevin Huerter. He's out there. Then you got DeAndre Hunter, who I think he's better. He's going to be better than Reggie Bullock. He's going to be better than Reggie Bullock. He's going to be better than Alec Burks. DeAndre Hunter is 22 years old, 23 years old. They got a good one there. Okay. We knew that when you remember him when they won the national title in Virginia, he was really good then. And he's really good now. So, Hunter, they got some players there. So that's why they were a little bit ahead of us. They got those ancillary players. They got that second star. I mean, you may not believe Bogdanovich is a star, but he plenty good enough. That boy could shoot the rock. Okay. So we don't have that. We need that. Who is it? I don't know. We talked about possibilities like Zach LaVine, or a strong point guard, like a Kyle Lowry, or, we're not going to get Chris Paul. He ain't giving up that $44 million, I don't think, unless somebody decides to pay him more than that over the 3-year period. Like if the Knicks offered him 2 years, 50, he might do it. But I don't think Phoenix is going to let him go. But Kyle Lowry is going to be available. We might want to look at him. We talked about Alonzo Ball. I'm not sure if he's that guy. He's going to be good. He would help us. But I'm not, if we want to go to that next level and get, because remember now, like I said, Barrett's going to be a star, but he needs 2 seasons. So if you got a Kyle Lowry, there's your 2 seasons. Okay, there's your 2 seasons. Quickly is going to be at least a really good bench player. Like he's going to be Lou Williams-esque coming off the bench. He might be a starter because it's too early to tell with him. He could be a stud coming up later. I don't know, but as far as what we need, I'm talking about guys that are consistent, that'll get you to that next level. And I'm glad to be talking like this with the Knicks because that's, who knew it was going to be in just 1 year? I thought it was going to take 2 more. 1 year is what we hear. Okay. So I don't know about this series and then I don't know if Tibbs is going to have enough sense to put Frank Ntilikina on Trae Young and just let him lock that boy up for 48. I don't know. He should. If he wants to get back in this series, D Rose, he did his thing. He had 18 yesterday. He had 30 Friday. See? So you had your point guard, but D Rose. And this is what Atlanta did. D Rose can't guard Trae Young, and Trae Young can't guard D Rose, but they did not have Trae Young trying to guard D Rose. They did not have that. They put guys like Bogdanovich on D Rose. They put Kevin Huerter on him. They were gang doing him like the way we should be doing with Trae Young. And so that's why D Rose is working really hard on offense. And then on defense, Trae Young didn't have to work as hard. Okay. So we got to guard the 3-point line, and Julius has got to become Julius of this season instead of last season for us to have a chance in this series. But even that being the case, we really need another guy, a Zach, that type of player, a Zach LaVine, a Kyle Lowry, somebody. I don't think a Powell's the guy. We need a Zach LaVine, a Kyle Lowry, somebody that's going to come out. The kid that Toronto, Gary Trent Jr., even though he's young, I feel like he's that type of guy. or if we could possibly get Malik Beasley from Minnesota. Those guys, we need somebody like that. That's got to be guarded or he's going to kill you. And that will be under Tom Thibodeau on the defensive end and learn that level of Tom Thibodeau, New York Knicks style defense. You get somebody like that, we're going to be really good next year. But this year was a learning experience. Don't trip on it because we weren't supposed to be here. And it's a learning experience. Even that being the case, like I said, I feel like the series would be closer and I said 7 games. At the beginning, I said 7 games. But the reason I said that, because I was expecting Ntilikina to get some time. I don't know what Thibodeau's thinking about. I really don't. Okay? But it is what it is. I was expecting Ntilikina to play a major role in guarding Trae Young. But it hasn't happened. Yesterday, we played like 3 minutes. What the hell? I don't know. He played like 3 minutes yesterday. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? Anyway, this is where it is right now. I'm hoping, the next game. When's the next game? It's Wednesday night. Let's hope we pull it out. That's all. We Knicks fans. We Knicks Nation. I'm gonna be positive. But even if they lose, it's not the end of the world to me. This whole year was overperforming. This whole year was 10 steps on a rebuild in 1 year. So, and I really feel like Leon Rose is smart enough to make some moves that's going to get us to that next level. We only talking about one major player. We don't need a whole bunch of guys. Like I said, you get a Zach LaVine, you get a Kyle Lowry, and you can push this thing forward big time. Especially if they don't get hurt. You can push this thing forward big time. Don't look at none of these rookies in the draft except that one dude in Oklahoma State. Nobody else in this draft will push us forward like that. Nobody. All of the rest of them cats are going to need a couple of years. I'm not saying there's no talent here. Of course, there's tremendous talent in this draft. But they're not going to help us get to that next level next year. Except if we got that boy K, but we ain't getting him. So, there's that. We need somebody that's going to help us next year. We right there. We got good young players. We just need that one dude that's that guy. You're not going to get a Kawhi. Kawhi is going to dingle. You're going to have all kind of rumors about him coming to New York. If he does, great. But realistically, he's going to be staying in LA where he's from. Okay. We don't need DeMar DeRozan. Even though he might be that guy, I have to be honest. Homie chokes a lot. I love DeMar DeRozan game. But in big games, he don't show up, man. That's what's been happening. I'm just telling you. Both in Toronto and in San Antonio. He ain't that guy. I'm just trying to be real. Kyle Lowry's that guy. Zach LaVine is that guy. But I don't think DeMar is. So I don't think that he's the one. He's gonna be available, but I wouldn't go after him. I wouldn't go after him. I want somebody that's aggressive. Somebody that's fearless. Somebody that can play in Madison Square Garden. Okay? And, only people I can know that's going to be available that's like that is Kyle Lowry and Zach LaVine. And Zach LaVine technically is not available. That's he doesn't sign an extension, then he is. So we have to talk about that later. But, so we'll see what happens. But I think Kyle Lowry's our guy. Even above Lonzo. Because Lonzo is good. And he will help. Especially defensively. But I don't know about him in a big game on a consistent basis yet. I know about Kyle Lowry. Okay? He's old, but so is Chris Paul. And we talk about 2 years. Like I said, all RJ needs is 2 more years. And you give him a point guard like that. Now you bring in D Rose off the bench with Quickly. And then you hopefully Ntilikina, you bring those cats off with Burks in them. Now you got something. And we got the money to do it. Then you have a healthy Mitchell Robinson. We're going to be in trouble. We're going to be a problem. Okay. So, that's where we at. Let's hope we can pull this out Wednesday. Let's see what adjustments Thibodeau makes. If he makes some, hopefully. It took him a minute to get rid of EP on that. I don't know why he waited so long. But anyway, you talk about putting the plays out there that's going to win. I guess I'm on my Thibodeau. I've been respecting Thibodeau all year. Y'all know that. I don't like criticizing Tom Thibodeau. I ain't as smart as him. But this was bothering me. It was. It's like, I want to win, man. And I know he does. But something's blinding him to the fact that Ntilikina locks Trae Young up. Look at the film. Anyway, I hope y'all had a safe weekend. Start of another week. Here we go. Be safe. Have a good time. Sure.